Welcome to Backyard Cigars. And on a near 60-degree day in November, that sure is something to be happy about. If you're like me, or for that matter, the rest of America, tensions have been high. Stress levels have been taken to the max. And we're all just waiting to see what happens next. So I figured no better day than to hit the backyard, put a little fire on just for added warmth, and pick out a cigar that would do well in this chilly weather. Now, I reckon today I probably could have gotten away with a Ecuadorian Connecticut cigar. That's just how good it feels out here. But I didn't want to take any chances, so I got out a Maduro wrapper cigar. This one here is by Tres Lindas Cubanas, headquartered in Miami. And these are two sisters who actually own their own company, operate their own company, and have their cigars manufactured out of Nicaragua. I've talked about these twin sisters in the importance of women in the cigar industry, and I actually smoked and reviewed a cigar by the name of La Clarita, and it was an Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrapper, and it was rather tasty and very enjoyable. So I said to myself, let me get this Toro out. It's a 6x50 Toro. Some reports listed as 6x52, but it really feels like a 50 in my hand. And there isn't much information on the wrapper, but just from what I know of the company and how they produce a lot of Nicaraguan puros, I'm gonna take a guess and say that this is a Nicaraguan Habano wrapper. The binder and the filler I know are from Nicaragua, Esteli. And as you can see there, simple yet elegant band. Nothing flashy, just something to let you know that women are in charge here. Just kidding. It's always good when you have participation from the opposite sex in the cigar industry because they bring a lot to the table, and they certainly know how to roll fine cigars, and they're involved in every aspect of the cigar business, have been for so many years, for so many decades. And if you want to go back deep into history, as I have, you'll find that women have played a large role in so many things that we men love. And it's just a beautiful thing when you have diversity in the cigar industry. So, without further ado, it's a medium to full-bodied, and I can already anticipate that this baby's gonna amp up, and it's gonna be a full-bodied in every way. But right now, off the bat, I'm getting that full-bodied flavor and strength. But it kind of finishes like a medium smoothness because there's no harshness to it. There's very little. It's dry, but it's not overly dry in the finish. And right now, I'm just getting a little mild cocoa note with some sweetness. And a spicy backbone. But the one thing I do like is that as I taste that spice, that pepper, in the finish, there's this sweetness that coats the flavoring. It's just, you get this sweetness as you blow out the smoke, and it just kind of clings to your palate, and it's very pleasant. woody notes, pepper, and sweetness. It's just a nice little sweetness that I'm getting. I'm going to take a little time with this, and I'll be right back. Within this review, I also kind of want to have a conversation with you folks in regards to the cold weather. And I've touched on it before, so I'll touch on it again now. In my previous review, I mentioned how envious I was of all of you folks that are smoking in your little huts and your little teepees and your sheds and your green rooms. All of that is great. But for those of us that are stuck outside and we depend on a fire, perhaps in some cases you might have a heat lamp, one of those heat lamps you see at the restaurants, or maybe you do the combo effect with the heat lamp and the fire pit, and that's great too. But more so I want to talk about cigars that do well in cold weather and some cigars that don't. Now, in some reviews I've mentioned how certain cigar wrappers just don't fare well in the cold weather. They're thin, they're delicate, and they fall apart. Or worse yet, they just don't burn very well, so nothing really comes together and it ruins your whole smoking experience. When someone asks me, and I've been asked this question, Jose, I live in a really cold weather climate and I don't have a cigar shed or room or anything. I go out into the elements and sometimes I light a fire, but even then I'm cold, like myself, and I sympathize with that. What cigar do you recommend that would deal with this cold weather? And I've done some research into it, and I don't think it's much of a secret that the thicker the cigar wrapper, the better it'll do. So think of Maduros. Think of the Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. Think of perhaps even a Colorado Maduro or a Sumatran wrapper will do very well. Nicaraguan Habano, if this is in fact a Nicaraguan Habano, also tends to do pretty well. Generally speaking, thicker, rugged cigar wrappers are going to do well in the colder temperatures. Thinner, more delicate cigar wrappers like the Ecuadorian Connecticut Shade or a Cameroon wrapper could possibly have issues. And hopefully, sometimes you can pull it off. It's early in the day, the sun is out, it's not too windy. You go for a morning cigar, you take out your Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapped cigar, you sit outside in the sun, and if you acclimate your cigar, points on that, you may actually be able to smoke it and enjoy it without an issue. But that isn't always the case. Another thing I like to stress is the acclimation process. You're taking it out of your humidor, you're putting it on your counter or somewhere in your apartment or house, and you want to give it at least a half an hour to acclimate to the temperature inside your home. Then what I do is that I bring it outside and I give it about a good 10-15 minutes to acclimate to whatever the temperature may be it 40 degrees or 50 degrees. And then I cut and light it, because that's just my ritual, and I have found that it works. I've also experimented with the thicker wrappers versus the lighter wrappers like the Cameroon. And sometimes it's just trial and error. You smoke different cigars, you have certain experiences, and then you start to remember things like, whoa, that Connecticut broadleaf, that's one tough son of a gun. It can really handle the cold weather. You don't have to worry about it so much cracking or coming apart. But even under certain conditions, even your tough, thick wrappers are going to have problems. Maybe the issue won't be that it cracks and splits open, but maybe it'll burn a little unevenly. All depends. I say trial and error. Give it a shot. These are just my suggestions. I have some, you know, empirical experience here, right? But I recommend that everyone just give it a shot. And if you have any ideas, leave them in the comments section for sure. Very smooth. It's developing a bit of a little sweet tobacco note with that spicy pepper lingering in the background. It's got a good aroma, and it's got a very pleasant finish. I mean, I've mentioned that earlier. It's just a very pleasant, sweet finish. And it's got a very earthy feel to it. It's just very earthy. I'm liking the balance of this cigar. The way the spiciness and the sweetness are just coming together and playing off of each other. One puff you get, and you get a little pepper, finish of sweetness. You take another puff, you get sweetness, and you get a little bit of the lingering pepper. So this is very well done. I can tell you right now that I'm really appreciating the work that has gone into this cigar. It's very good construction on this cigar, very well rolled. The burn line, I believe, will correct itself. The ash just happened to fall off right now, and it fell off rather awkwardly as I was moving about, and I think it'll correct itself. Least of my problems. Well, I'm going to come back to you with a final summary. Ooh, that just smelled really good. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. I will come back to you shortly and give you my full summary of this cigar. Okay, so cigar opened up, medium to full body, has really blossomed to a full-bodied cigar as expected. Sweetness with pepper notes, earthiness, and some woody notes with some mild cocoa notes at times, but really the bulk of it has been an earthy tobacco flavor with pepper and sweetness. Now, if that sounds like how I described the cigar that I reviewed yesterday, well, you might be right. The cigar that I was smoking yesterday was a Connecticut broadleaf, and it provided a lot of the same notes and flavors. But I think the main difference with this one here is that, for one, it's much more full-bodied. Second, it's a lot earthier. And thirdly, the pepper is less pronounced and is just very well balanced with the sweetness. And while not overly sweet, not overly spicy, I feel like it's just a very well balanced cigar. And I think I said that about their lighter shade cigar. The way they balance the flavors of their cigars is just amazing. It's just a well balanced cigar, good construction. Earthy woody note. That's what I'm getting. Spices and pepper on the tongue in the finish. And then I feel a little sweetness. Now, lately, as I get towards this part of the cigar, the sweetness is fading a little bit. But if I remember correctly, that sweetness will return, and you will get that mingling of the sweetness with the spice and that woody, earthy note. And it's just balance is key here. And for this cigar, balance has been one of its finer attributes. So this is La Negrita by Tres Lindas Cubanas from Miami, female-owned company. Very nice night tonight. Very fortunate. Let's see how things turn out, folks. Stay patient. You have to do things by the book. And I thank you for watching another episode of Backyard Cigars. Till next time, folks. See you then.